This is the best trend indicator ever created on TradingView platform. I will teach you how you can effectively use it in trading, so make sure you watch this video until the end and let's get started. But before I add the indicator, if you like my contents, please support the channel by liking the video and subscribing to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Alright, to add this amazing indicator to our chart, here we click on indicators and we search regime filter, this one, which is a new indicator from Big Beluga. Alright, as you can see, the indicator is added to the chart. We have different components here, but don't worry because I will completely explain everything. This indicator is built based on combination of price momentum and volume, and so it actually measures trend direction and volume changes to help us to know if the trend is strong and healthy and confirmed by strong volume, or the trend is weakening and it is vulnerable because of low volume. Here on the right side of the chart, you can see that we have a box that has different colors, and this helps us to quickly know about the strength of the trend in the market. Before I start explaining this, I'm proud to announce that recently I published a book, The Art of Price Action Trading, which is a complete guide to price action analysis. The link is in the description and you can get it later if you want to master price action trading. Alright, getting back to the indicator, here this is y-axis and it is related to volume, and you can see that we have a positive sign here and a negative sign here, and this means that the lower we go we have lower amount of volume, and the higher we go we have higher amount of volume. And here the x-axis is trend, and similarly we have a positive sign here and a negative sign here, and this means that the left part is related to downtrend, and the more we go to the left the stronger is the downtrend, and the right part is related to uptrend, and similarly the more we go to the right the stronger is the uptrend. As you can see, the box is divided into 4 segments. Here it's red showing downtrend and above the average volume. Here it is green showing uptrend and above the average volume. Here it's blue showing uptrend but below the average volume, and here it's yellow showing downtrend and below the average volume. Alright, now you can see that we have a blue circle here that, depending on the current condition of the market, it is placed on different segments here in this box. This box is actually a scatter plot and it helps us to know what the market situation is. For example, here on this chart you can see that the blue circle is sitting here, which in terms of trend you can see that it is far right, and in terms of volume it is far down. This shows that currently we have greater upside momentum but the volume is low, and it shows that the upside momentum is losing strength and we have probability of reversal, downside reverse of the price. As I said, the more we go to the right the stronger is the upside momentum, and the more we go down the lower is the amount of volume. So here inside the blue segment, for example, having the blue circle here, it shows even higher weakness for the upside momentum. Alright, on this chart you can see that the blue circle is placed here at the bottom left of the box. This means that the trend is down and the volume is also very low. This situation shows that the downside momentum is weak and we have probability of reversal. As I explained earlier, depending on where the blue circle is placed here in this yellow segment, the degree of the weakness or strength can change. The lower in the segment, the lower is the volume, and so more weakness for the current trend. Alright, on this chart you can see that we have the blue circle here in the green segment at top right. This means that the trend is up and the volume is also high, as you can see, and this shows that we have a confirmed strong uptrend, and so the probability of reversal is low. And on this chart you can see that we have the blue circle here in the red segment, and this shows that the trend is down and the volume above the average. In the segment not at extreme level for the volume, but still above the average here also inside the segment. And this tells us that we have a strong downside momentum and we don't have considerable probability for upside reversal of the price. Alright, so depending on the current condition of the market, here in this box, which is in the form of a scatter plot, we can easily identify and evaluate the strength or weakness of the current trend in the market. This this is actually coming from this oscillator that we have here. This line that changes color between green, red, and orange is trend line. And you can see that it is oscillating above and below the center line, which is set at 0. When it is above the center line, we have greater upside momentum, so the price is advancing. And when it is below the center line, we have greater downside momentum, so the price is declining. Depending on the level of the line above or below the center line, we have this circle placed left or right. When the trend line is above the center line, the blue circle is in this part of the box, the green segment and blue segment. And when the trend line is below the center line, we will have the blue circle here in this part of the box in red segment and yellow segment. And then we have this line, which is volume line, and it is also moving above and below the center line, as you can see. When it is above the center line, the volume is above the average, and we will have the blue circle here on the upper part of the box in red segment and green segment. And in times that the volume line is below the center line, the volume is below the average, and we have the blue circle here in the bottom part of the box in the blue segment or yellow segment. So for the current condition of the market, depending on the position of the trend line and volume line above or below the center line, we have this blue circle in one of these 4 segments. And location of the blue circle in each segment depends on the degree and level of the trend line and volume line above or below the center line. Alright, now you may wonder how this information can help you in trading. When the price is advancing in an uptrend, we want the blue circle here in the green segment, ideally right top. And in a downtrend, we want the blue circle here in the red segment, ideally top left. But you must pay attention that this top right or top left can also be a sign of exhaustion and then reverse of the price. Having the blue circle here in green segment or red segment is actually when here in the oscillator part, we have the volume line above the center line and ideally far. For example, when the trend line is above the center line and going up, which shows greater upside momentum. If this is happening with volume line also above the center line and going up, this is a good signal and showing a strength in the upside momentum. But if the trend line is going up, but the volume line is below the center line and going down, like what happened here, this is a negative signal and it tells us that the upside momentum is very weak. And you can see that here the price was just flat. So in a situation like this, we don't enter a trade. On the other hand, for downside movement of the price, which is when the trend line is below the center line and going down, we want the volume line above the center line and going up. This shows a strength in the downside momentum. But if the trend line is below the center line and the volume line is also below the center line and going down, this shows weakness in the downside momentum. And here you can see that the price was just moving flat. So in a situation like this, we don't enter a trade. This indicator is a perfect choice for final confirmation in your trading strategy, because when you have a buy signal or sell signal, this indicator gives you a measure on the strength or weakness of the upside momentum or downside momentum in the market. So you know that if there is really a strength and enough pressure in the market for your buy signal or sell signal. In a separate video, I will publish a trading strategy based on this indicator, so make sure you won't miss it. Alright, that's it. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and leave a comment for me. I'll answer your questions as soon as possible. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell so you get the notifications of my new videos. See you guys in next video and good luck with your trading.